This is ZNS Storm Watch Update, brought to you by BTC.
You're looking at a live shot here in the capital as Hurricane Sandy moves closer to our area here in the capital. It's 3 o'clock and Hurricane Sandy continues to hold Category 2 status. Good day, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley, and this is Storm Watch. At this hour, as we've said, Sandy is still a Category 2 hurricane and is proving a rainmaker with reports of flooding in islands like Long Island and Exuma. Our Basil Dean is back with the latest on the storm. And Basil, the next islands that we're going to have to be concerned about are Cat Island and Eleuthera, right?
Well, really, Cat Island and Roomkey will be the next two on our list, but eventually Eleuthera will kick in as well. But we still have some time before those hurricane force winds reach Eleuthera. And as you can see on our satellite picture, the eye right now is just between Long Island and Exuma, so they are experiencing the peak of this storm system. And over the next couple of hours, things will slowly start subsiding in Exuma and Long Island. But nevertheless, the broad area of showers associated with this will continue to dump heavy rains on these islands, so flooding will remain an issue until we get the system completely out of the way. Just giving you a closer look, if we can just get this to our visible photograph, you can see the eye there as it came over Cuba, but that eye now is started closing up, meaning it's starting to lose some sort of strength, even though the winds are still holding at 105 miles per hour. So we're forecasting that this will gradually weaken just a tad, but remain a hurricane as it moves through the northwest Bahamas. At 2 o'clock, these were the coordinates: 23.5 degrees north longitude, 75.4 west. Sustained winds are holding at 105. It's now moving north at 20 miles per hour, and that is good news. The distance, about 25 miles east of Exuma, 125 miles southeast of Eleuthera. So it's still quite a way off from Eleuthera, but as we told you, by tonight, Eleuthera will be getting the full brunt of this system from south to north. Keisha?
All right, thanks a lot, Basil. Just want to ask you quickly for persons living here in New Providence, because we're obviously watching the weather and wondering when we're going to get the worst of it here.
Well, we certainly can't leave New Providence out. Everybody is waiting and watching to see what is going to happen, but we can promise you by 7 o'clock this evening, the winds will start picking up here. We are out of the hurricane belt, so that is good news for us, but we definitely will get some tropical storm force winds, possibly up to 45, 50 miles per hour as that system pushes towards the north and just to the east of New Providence. Those conditions will be with us right through the night into tomorrow morning, and it wouldn't be until about noon tomorrow before things start subsiding here in the capital.
All right, thanks a lot, Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean there. Now, Long Island is one of the islands experiencing rough conditions and some flooding included in that. Administrator Therese Boodle-Bethel spoke with us a short time ago, telling us that some people have had to flee to shelters and that there are reports that some farmers have lost their crops. Here's a bit of that conversation.
We're looking at the low-lying areas for possible flooding, and so one of the issues that came to bear in our discussion is the early activation of shelters to direct those persons in those low-lying areas to seek shelter within our shelters as early as possible. If the storm continues on its projected path, we're expecting some flooding because as it is now, the land is already saturated. Based on the initial assessment and based on the discussion with the Disaster Preparedness Committee, persons are in fact taking this storm serious because it is operating similar to Noel, which gave Long Island its worst flooding that they've seen in our recent times.
Well, back here in the capital, there were some overzealous shoppers in some areas today. As Charisma Robinson tells us, things got a little heated in the Purity Bakery on Market Street this morning as shoppers piled into the store where the lines were long and the supply shorter by the minute.
As rain drenched the island this morning, quite a number of locals could be seen on the wet streets making last-minute preparations. At Purity Bakery, the line could be seen stretching far beyond the entrance of the building as hundreds flocked to pick up as much bread as they could to carry them through the storm. After waiting for almost 2 hours, things started to get a bit rowdy.
but Purity Bakery being the #1 bread production and manufacturing company, we will run bread until we cannot run it any longer, and we will have sufficient bread to supply the entire Bahamas.
I was last on the line, but I share bread. We have a shop through Penny Bank Lane, and I came by this morning and got some, but we just need more.
Aside from the bread, what else are you doing to prepare for the storm?
Well, I'm prepared for everything else. I have batteries, I have lighting, I'm good, and I have ample water.
Over at Super Value's East Street location was a bit more calm. Residents raced through the aisles to stock up on the necessary canned goods and other supplies.
The basic, like the tuna and stuff like that. And I don't too much like candy.
Oh, okay.
We got cream and cereal, dry cereal, and sugar and stuff like that.
Items that you come to get.
Oh, that's a few things that I could snack on.
Okay. So is your house protected?
Oh, yeah, they were protected from yesterday.
That was our Charisma Robinson reporting. Meantime, at the Princess Margaret Hospital, officials are readying for any eventuality. Deputy Hospital Administrator Michelle Roach reminded persons that the hospital is available now for serious emergencies only.
At this moment, we are in a state of readiness. We have already postponed the outlying clinics. There are no clinics going on today and possibly tomorrow, depending on what the weather forecast. We are asking the general public to only come to the hospital if it is an emergency and only if it's all clear, because the conditions are going down quickly now. So when the radio says that, or the police says you shouldn't be out, they'll have to stay home and then just come here for emergencies only.
Well, Mary Walker, Hospital Disaster Preparedness Officer, also shared these tips.
We have one challenge, and we're trying to look for alternatives this morning, but by and large, we are well stocked with medications and medical surgical supplies. And we just want to let the general public know that should they have an emergency, a true emergency, when the wind speeds get up to about 50 miles an hour, EMS dispatch, when you call them, will defer the call to RBDF. So it'll be an RBDF ambulance that will come. But they are trained just the same as EMS personnel.
Well, some people did have to stock up on their medications today. Some of them stopped at the Doc's Pharmacy on Robinson Road, where proprietor Delton Bain told us he'll be open as long as he can.
The type of business we are very essential. We got to really open up to cater to our customers and anybody who really wants to get their medication, stuff like that, because people come in the last minute, they need their medication. Some of them come in on a daily basis because they don't have all the funds to get everything, say for a month's supply, week supply. So we try to stay open as long as we could and just try and weather the storm to make sure they get their medication and be able to take them.
Now, Bain told us that most of his customers were those who are participants in the NIB plan and who may require medication on a daily basis.
Just had heavy traffic this morning. A lot of the NIB people came in and got their stuff, and they mainly the people who really want to cater to, because they're the elderly people and got to get their stuff. And they've been coming in, and so we can just stay open for as long as we could to make sure that it gets sorted out, because we don't know what's going to happen later today or tomorrow. So we prepared to just be here, and I got a great set of staff. They willing to come down and just stick with us, and we're going to do our thing today.
All right, well, that does it for us for now. As we heard in just Basil say, and just a wrap up for you, Cat Island and the Eleuthera area expected to be among the islands to be affected next by Hurricane Sandy, which is still holding tropical or Category 2 hurricane status at this hour. And here in New Providence, he expects conditions to deteriorate around 7 o'clock this evening. That is the latest on Storm Watch. Our next update comes your way at 4 o'clock. I'm Keisha Adderley. Good afternoon.
This has been a ZNS Storm Watch update brought to you by BTC.